Brace yourselves, Britain, because your beloved nation is hurtling toward a catastrophe so colossal it could obliterate centuries of history in a single, shattering blow. The British public, you, me, every soul who calls this island home, is waking up to a chilling reality. Mass immigration is surging like a relentless tsunami, smashing against the fragile cliffs of our cultural identity with a force that threatens to wash it all away. And who's at the helm of this sinking ship, steering us straight into the storm? The Labour government, under the steely grip of Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner, charging forward with a housing scheme so brazen, so utterly unhinged, it's igniting a firestorm of fury across the land. A mind-boggling 1.5 million homes earmarked for migrants? Critics are screaming from the rooftops. This isn't just reckless, it's a full-on assault on the very soul of Britain, a betrayal that could shred traditional values, snap the spine of public services, and plunge an already teetering economy into the abyss. Even King Charles himself has reportedly thundered a final warning to Rayner, his voice echoing through the halls of power like a desperate cry to save a nation on the brink. But will Labour heed this royal plea, or are they dead set on dragging Britain into a chaos from which there's no return? Hold it right there. Before we plunge headfirst into this explosive tale, I've got a critical mission for you. If this story sets your blood boiling and your heart racing, slam that subscribe button now and unleash your thoughts in the comments below. Are you ready to stand up and shout that Britain's being sold down the river? Your voice is the spark we need to ignite a revolution. Subscribing locks you into this channel for the raw, unfiltered truth the mainstream media's too scared to touch. Don't let this story die in the shadows. Hit subscribe, join the fight, and let's rip the lid off this scandal together. Now, let's tear into the guts of this unfolding disaster, because it's a doozy. Immigration isn't just rising, it's exploding, hitting record levels that make your head spin and your stomach churn. The numbers are staggering, a relentless flood that's drowning communities from Cornwall to the Highlands. Public opinion? It's shifting faster than a gale whipping across the North Sea, and the people are done keeping quiet. They're raising their voices, fists clenched, as Labour unveils its grand, terrifying vision. 1.5 million new homes, a concrete empire rising from the ashes of a construction industry that's already crumbling like a house of cards in a hurricane. The latest S&P Global Construction Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, dropped a bombshell that's still reverberating. Activity in the sector crashed to 44.6 in February, down from 48.1 in January. That's the lowest since the pandemic, a brutal, bone-crushing low that's left builders reeling. Costs are soaring through the roof, jobs are vanishing like smoke, and skilled workers? They're an endangered species in an industry gasping its last breaths. And yet, Labour's charging ahead, blind to the wreckage, deaf to the warnings, hell-bent on a plan that could bury Britain alive. Angela Rayner, the bulldozing architect of this housing madness, has planted her flag and doubled down, snarling through gritted teeth that there's no excuse for missing her 1.5 million home target. She's a force of nature, unyielding, uncompromising, a woman possessed by a vision that's equal parts ambition and insanity. Her partner in crime, Sir Keir Starmer, steps up with his polished charm and a promise that's as bold as it is terrifying. A new generation of towns sprouting across the countryside, construction breaking ground before the 2029 election sweeps him back, or out, of power. But let's hit the brakes and face the cold, hard truth. Where's the cash to fund this monstrosity? Where's the army of workers to build it? The construction sector's a wasteland, shuttered sites, rusting cranes, and a workforce so depleted it's a miracle anything gets built at all. The public's patience? It's fraying like a tattered flag in a storm, and the polls don't lie. Back in April 2023, 52% of Brits demanded immigration be slashed, cut it, curb it, stop it cold. Fast forward to October 2024, and the alarm bells are deafening. 38% named immigration the country's top crisis, the highest spike in concern since the Brexit inferno of 2016. The people aren't just awake, they're raging, and Labour's playing with fire. But Starmer and Rayner? They're not flinching. They're barreling forward with a plan so radical, so drenched in hubris, it's got critics howling that it's not just reckless, it's a calculated torching of Britain's beating heart. The housing market's a graveyard. Building activity plummeted to 39.3 from 44.9 in a single month, a nosedive so steep it's rivaled only by the 2009 financial crash that left the world in tatters. Businesses are sounding the alarm, pointing to a housing market so weak it's practically comatose and borrowing costs so astronomical they're strangling any hope of recovery. The Considerate Constructors Scheme, CCS, a lifeline for the battered building trade, has hoisted a blazing red flag. Labour's targets aren't just ambitious, they're a fever dream, a delusion so far removed from reality it's laughable if it weren't so tragic. This isn't just about bricks and mortar, folks, this is a war for Britain's identity, a clash that could leave the nation unrecognisable. Imagine it, the rolling green hills, the charming villages, the cobblestone streets that whisper tales of Shakespeare and Churchill, all swallowed by a tidal wave of soulless concrete towers, built not for the sons and daughters of Britain but for an endless stream of newcomers. Public services are already buckling, hospitals overflowing, schools bursting at the seams, roads gridlocked beyond repair. Now pile on 1.5 million new homes, predominantly for migrants, and you've got a powder keg ready to blow. Starmer preens and postures, vowing to use all levers available to build homes so more families can get on the housing ladder. But the public's cutting through the spin with a razor-sharp question. Whose families, Keir? Yours? Mine? Or the millions flooding in while lifelong Brits are left to rot on waiting lists, priced out of their own towns? The CCS is sounding a klaxon. The workforce to make this happen doesn't exist. Construction's hemorrhaging talent, an aging crew nearing retirement, young Brits shunning the trade like it's cursed, and a desperate, growing reliance on migrant labour that's only fanning the flames of resentment. Step into the ring with Brenda Bay, a heavy hitter from Edwin Company. Law practice, who's dropping truth bombs like they're going out of style. She's painting a picture so grim it's apocalyptic. The construction sector's a ticking time bomb, plagued by work stoppages, costs spiralling into the stratosphere, and delays that stretch on like a bad dream. Why? An aging workforce too tired to keep up, a shrinking pool of staff, and skills so scarce you'd have better luck finding a unicorn. Labour's big fix. Slash apprenticeship durations and toss out mandatory qualifications. A cheap, flimsy patch on a wound that's gushing blood. Critics are roaring that this half-baked solution just deepens the addiction to foreign workers, leaving British lads and lasses out in the cold, their jobs snatched, their futures dimmed, their country slipping through their fingers like sand. The numbers are brutal. 1.5 million homes means 300,000 built every year. A feat Britain hasn't pulled off since the 1970s, when the world was a different place and the economy wasn't a smouldering wreck. Today, it's a pipe dream wrapped in a nightmare, and the public's not buying it. The Migration Observatory's data is a gut punch. Opposition to immigration softened post-Brexit, dropping from a fiery 65% in 2015 to a calmer 42% in 2022. But then, bam! It roared back to 52% in 2023, and 2024's numbers are climbing higher as Labour's open border binge lights a match under the nation's temper. Trust in this government? It's in the saw. Taxpayers are seething, watching their hard-earned pounds funneled into homes for new arrivals while they're crushed by rents that rival London skyscrapers, wages that haven't budged in years, and a housing shortage that's a national disgrace. The Ministry of Housing whimpers about economic growth, bleating that they inherited a severe crisis. But the opposition's firing back with cannons blazing. This isn't inherited, it's engineered, a Frankenstein's monster stitched together by Labour's refusal to slam the door on runaway migration. And then, enter the King. Yes, King Charles himself, the guardian of Britain's legacy, reportedly storming into this mess with a final warning to Angela Rayner that's shaking the foundations of power. Picture it, the monarchy, a towering symbol of tradition, locking horns with a government accused of hawking the nation's soul for a pile of migrant megatowns. It's a clash of titans, a royal rumble that's got the country buzzing. Palace whispers say Charles is pleading, begging, for Labour to pull back from the edge before this housing insanity rips Britain apart at the seams. Will Starmer and Rayner bend the knee to the crown and the will of the people? Or will they ram this juggernaut through, consequences be damned? The stakes are astronomical: cultural annihilation, economic collapse, and a public primed to erupt in a rebellion that could echo through history. But wait, Labour's got a dazzling distraction up their sleeve, a shiny bauble to wave in front of the cameras. They're crowing about deporting 16,400 illegal migrants since taking office, the highest in 5 years, they boast, with a swagger that's almost comical. Foreign criminals off our streets, they trumpet, flaunting a 24% surge in enforced returns and a 23% spike in kicking out 2,580 convicted lowlifes, drug peddlers, thieves, rapists, murderers, via monster charter flights that could fill a fleet. They've even unveiled a world-first sanctions regime to strangle the smuggling gangs raking in blood money from channel crossings. Starmer's striding through the City of London Police HQ, chest puffed out like a peacock, vowing to fix a broken immigration system with all the gravitas of a Hollywood hero. But don't be dazzled by the smoke and mirrors. This is a sideshow, a flashy PR stunt to dodge the real inferno. Kicking out thousands doesn't erase the millions still pouring in, nor does it build a single home for the Brits languishing in the shadows of Labour's migrant-first mania. So here we are, Britain, teetering on a precipice so perilous it's a wonder we're still standing. Labour's housing juggernaut roars on, a 1.5 million home beast that could crush the last gasps of your national spirit under its relentless wheels. The construction industry's a sinking Titanic, public opinion's a volcano ready to blow, and even the King's waving a red flag from the palace. Will Starmer and Rayner double down on this radical roulette, wagering Britain's soul on a mountain of concrete for newcomers? Or will the tsunami of public rage, your voice, force a reckoning, a last-ditch shot to reclaim the heritage and stability slipping away like mist over the moors? The clock's ticking louder than Big Ben, and it's not years we're counting, it's months, weeks, maybe days before Britain bends or breaks. Let's paint the scene one last time. Your villages, your towns, your history, swamped by a flood of alien sprawl while NHS waiting lists stretch into eternity, schools turn away your kids, and roads choke on traffic that never ends. Your taxes, your sweat, your sacrifice, funneled into a dream that's not yours, while young couples huddle in rented hovels, dreaming of a home they'll never afford. The construction trade's a skeleton crew, propped up by foreign hands because Labour won't train your sons and daughters. And the polls? They're a battle cry. 38% of you screaming immigration's the crisis of our time, 52% demanding it stop. Numbers that roar louder than any politician's platitudes. This isn't just a policy fight, it's a war for Britain's survival. A fight to keep the Union Jack flying over a land that still feels like home. Don't stand idle. Subscribe now and join the uprising. Smash that button, flood the comments. Are you ready to save Britain's future? Tell me your fears, your fury. Let's keep this blaze alive. Together, we can force the truth into the light and hold these architects of chaos accountable. The battle's on. Be part of it.